email?
He's driving, and he said he'd get on when he got done.
Oh, okay.
So, all right, I think we're live. Can you guys verify that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody want to volunteer for a prayer tonight?
I can do it.
Okay.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we're grateful for this opportunity we have to meet together as a group. We are grateful for all that we were able to learn through this week, through this case, and ask that as we talk and communicate about what we've learned, that we might be able to inspire one another and help each other with our managerial skills. We ask that thou please bless and watch over those who are traveling. Also, those who will be joining us later, please bless them and help us that we might be able to all talk about what we need to for this case and be able to enjoy our family and friends through Thanksgiving. And we ask these things and do so in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. All right. The next thing's a spiritual thought. Anybody have one?
I got a good story.
All right.
So Frank does, he takes not me, but he takes employees of Melaleuca over to Hawaii for just a vacation for a week. And it's just an all expenses paid trip. Just takes them over. And I was talking to one of my coworkers who was on the plane, and there's a big thud on the plane. And she said that it was the window of the front of the plane busted open. So they ran out to the front because they heard the crash. And so she thought to herself, immediately prayed, right? Immediately prayed because they were already an hour over the ocean. And so they had to turn around and go back to Honolulu. And she was like, I immediately prayed, but I didn't feel like there was any type of fear. It was like, okay, I'm in a good place. And it was, she thought of, I think it was, she said Elder Nelson, I think it was, or was it, they talked about the engine of the plane that gave out and the woman next to her was screaming. Woman next to him was screaming, and he was like, I didn't feel any fear, I didn't feel anything. I just knew that if this was my time to meet my creator, it was, but I was doing everything everything that I could be doing right up to this point. I think it's just kind of that, hey, let's just make sure we're analyzing who we are and what we're doing, right? Choose the right. Probably rocking a beard? Dude, are you rocking a beard? You are, aren't you?
I've put in 27 hours of work in the last 36.
Dude, Parley, what the?
I haven't even had time to shave.
No.
That's what we.
So I got something I want to share with you. So in my other class, investments, we have to write a report this week about the relationship of money and God. And so it's been really interesting to me, and I've really enjoyed it. I've researched a lot. I've actually put a lot of work into it. Studying the scriptures about it, I came upon a couple verses in 1 Nephi 16. And it says, and it came to pass that we did return without food to our families, and being much fatigued because of their journeying, they did suffer much for the want of food. And in 1 Nephi 17, it said, verse 1, it said, and we did travel and wade through much affliction in the wilderness, and our women did bear children in the wilderness. And then verse 2, it says that we lived upon raw meat in the wilderness, and our women did give plenty of suck. And then it says that they were blessed because of that. And so I thought it was interesting that, Lehi's family came from so much money and they had all these worldly possessions, and then they go to the wilderness and they're still able to see the blessings of heaven going without food and everything like that. So that's kind of the outline of my paper that I'm writing, but
Is that 410?
It is investments, yep.
That's awesome.
I had to pull teeth to get into that class for next semester.
Oh. It's actually really good. I like it. So.
Yeah, the kind of side story, but the only class I have left per my graduation planner is the 499A, which isn't offered online and hasn't been for the last couple semesters. They say, oh, you got to substitute it with, these classes, which two of them are the classes I'm taking this semester for my emphasis. Then one of them's not offered anymore, the B401. So that left human resource management, which, I was really excited about taking. And then there was investments, which I actually was excited about taking. Well, so the instructions in the email they sent was register for the class and then submit the waiver form. So I went to register for the class and it wouldn't let me. I was like, okay. So I called and then I called and I waited on hold and waited on hold. And does this sound familiar to anybody else?
Yep.
Like, honestly, BYUI has been less than impressive in customer care. Like, they've grown really fast and they've done more with less, but they've done more with less in areas that they shouldn't have done more with less. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Anyway, so, and then I finally get a hold of somebody that I can talk to. And like, well, I can schedule an appointment that's 2 weeks away to talk to an advisor. Well, anyways, it was just really frustrating. I finally got a response back via email saying, because I was like, hey, I want to take this class, the investment class. And they sent me back a response that said, well, you can't do this one, can't do this one, can't do this one, can't do this one for these various different reasons. And 410, they're like, you don't have the prerequisites, so it's impossible for you to take that one. So you have to take the human resources class. I was like, what the heck? So I went and looked at the prerequisites for it. And the prerequisites for 410 were, one of them is just take one of these three. And one of them was the B215, which is the business analytics or whatever. Well, that's a class that they created from B212. B212 used to be a 4-credit class that they split into B215 and a math class after I took it. Okay. So at this point, I was not very happy. And, oh, you can't take this one because it's impossible to take it because you don't have the prerequisite. I was like, so anyways, I sent an email back. I was like, so my question is, how can I graduate at this point without taking B215? Because B215 is required for almost every class I'm taking at this point. And according to the new graduation requirements, it's required for that. But I don't have to take that class because I took, B212, which, was the class that preceded both of those other classes. And, oh, by the way, was really difficult for the 4-credit class. Anyways, they sent me an email back saying, oh, we opened up a registration for you. You got 24 hours to register. I would, so I got registered for the class, but it was I felt somewhat justified. My little tantrum back, and it was like, the logic of it was irrefutable, but still, like, they just the response back was, we opened it for you, but not like for everybody, just for you. Like, gosh dang. Anyways, that should be my last class at BYUI.
Man, then you're done.
I've actually really enjoyed 410. I've learned a lot. It's very applicable to our lives if you're interested in personal investing. So.
Yep. Cool. Anyway.
All right. So number 3 says we need to vote. It says, do you think Vivero should raise money now? Yes or no? I say yes.
I say yes as well. That's what I thought.
Farley?
Hold on. Okay, sorry. I think he should be raising money.
You do think he should? Okay.
Wow. All 3 on the same? Holy smokes.
All right. So the second bullet point says, if no, why not? That is
Irrelevant?
NA. Not applicable. All right. So then it says, read page 7. on the certain.
I can read that for you if you want me to.
Sure.
I got it here. So I tried to raise funds. I believe it's just that. Wants just to read that paragraph, right?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. I tried to raise funds from Sand Hill Road venture capitalists in October and November. They liked our team and our idea, and they told me to come back when I had approved the model in more than one city, demonstrated lifetime customer value well in excess of average customer acquisition cost, and had reliable data on my sales cycle and conversion funnel. Is that it, right?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay.
Yeah. So now it says, why do investors care about customer lifetime value and customer acquisition cost, as well as sales conversion data?
Could I share what I found with customer lifetime value?
Yep.
So something that I was... You're such a jackwagon. You and your 24 hours of sleep.
I do.
The company that I work for right now has statistically a 96.6 reorder rate every single month. So only 4% of our customers we're losing them month to month. Only 4%. And so for us, that's huge, right? So the lifetime value of being able to see that customer stick around, this is the way that I interpreted it. And if I'm interpreting this completely wrong, I apologize. But the way that I took it was, we have this customer that's going to be here for a lifetime. We can bank on that because we know 96% of the time they're going to be sticking around month to month. If there's that small 4% chance that we lose them because of maybe a family death, or I'm trying to think of some can't afford our product or whatever that might be, they're going to be gone. So that value that we have is going to be awesome, right? Because then we can always bank on having that customer coming back to us because we have that product that they want.
Well, that's something that you have to keep working at, because that number could change. I mean, you could introduce a feature or a change to your product and lose everyone in one go. So it's something you have to keep working at. So it's not like you could take it to the bank and put it in there, but it's definitely something you could, you could take to your investors or your financial, chief financing officer or whatever, and they can utilize that information to like say, look, based on our current conversions, we're doing things well or we're not doing things well, and because of this lifetime value, that's given us, each time we get a new customer, it's going to put so much dollars in revenue in our pocket. Forecasting is really what it boils down to.
Can I share really quickly a question that I had, which was coming from the post-discussion poll? It was asking, as far as with question 2, what is that customer lifetime value of a RentJuice customer? And so for me, I was just interpreting it as, it doesn't really have necessarily a cost associated to that. It's more of just a definition of what that means and how you can show that. But I didn't understand how they found the cost. And I think partly you mentioned it right before we got started.
Yeah, so I can walk you through that.
You bet.
Essentially, let's see if I can get to the document here. So you'll see the numbers here.
Are you sure?
Okay, on page 10, the top of page 10, the second paragraph. I mean, I can share my screen here. Sorry.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
So right there, their customers are averaging 5 agents per office and about $440 a monthly revenue.
Okay.
And their gross margin exceeds 75%. So my understanding of that is $440 a month times 12 means that each customer is generating $5,280 a year. And their gross margin on that is $3,960. Is everyone with me on that so far?
You said 12. Why did you say 12 at the beginning? 440 times 12. Oh, month. Oh, No, I got you. Okay. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Okay. And then their gross margin is exceeding 75%. So of that revenue, they're getting 75% of it. My understanding of what they're saying. Mm-hmm. So that's $3,960 per year per customer. The annual customer churn rate averaged 38%. So you actually divide that number by 38%, and that means that the average customer lifetime value is $10,421.05, and the cost to acquire that new customer is $2,290. So when you take that out, the revenue generated by each customer for them at this point is $8,131, and that would be your lifetime value. The other number is just make sure I've got that right. Well, no, I mean your lifetime value is actually just the revenue. So it would be the 10,000 that I originally spoke about.
It would be okay.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Oh wait, sorry. Now, the next thing that's interesting is the lifetime value to the cost of acquisition. And according to some other things that I've looked at, an average, a good one, is somewhere in the neighborhood of 3. And right now, that ratio for them is in the neighborhood of 4.5%. So their money is being well spent.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the money that they're spending on acquiring customers, the value that they're generating is very good for that money that they spend. So if they were to take, say, their $500,000 or $5 million or whatever, and they were to increase their sales team from say 3 to 10, theoretically, or say 9, theoretically they would generate 4 times the total number of sales that they currently are getting, and the revenue that was generated from that, they would get roughly 4.5 times the amount of revenue from the acquisition costs that they're spending. So when it gets bad is when you spend, say, $1 to get a customer, and your lifetime value is $1. At that point, that's when you're having problems. But if your lifetime value is 3 and it costs 1 to get them, well, hey, I spend $1 and I get two back, or I get 3 back, and 1 to pay the other, and then 2 for going in my pocket. And that's pretty good, or to cover, general administration, sales, and management, So
interesting.
So my question to that, Barley, was, did you take that as $440 of monthly revenue for the office or per agent?
Per customer. And the reason why is because they've got 5 agents per office, and their average per seat was 56 times 5 is 280, and then the balance of the revenue was my assumption is the balance of the revenue is background checks and things like that they have to pay for on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
So, $440 divided by 5 agents is 88. But if you look at that table on the very back, it says the revenue per seat is 56. So the numbers don't jive exactly, but they're not getting 440 per agent. They're getting it per office. The office is considered the customer, not the agents.
Okay. All righty. So I guess we kind of answered like why they care about customer lifetime value. I mean, obviously, it's the longer you can keep your customer, the better off you'll be.
Well, not only that, but it's from an investor standpoint. Again, it goes back to if I hand you $1 and you only get $1 back in sales, I'm never going to make any money. If I hand you $1 now, and you can take that money and generate $3 or $4.50 over the lifetime of your customer, which in this case, the lifetime value of their customer is, 2.6 years. So over that course of that 2.6 years, you're going to generate $4.50. I mean, now you start talking about return on investment. So 4.5 divided by 1, that's 450% in as far as revenue goes. Now, that's gross revenue. You got 450% gross revenue in 2.6 years on each dollar you spend. That's why.
Let me ask you this. So I'm looking at this and I'm wondering I think you touched on it just a little bit, but I want to make sure I understand it. Customer acquisition costs, do they get deducted from the customer lifetime value then? That $2,300 out of the case, is that deducted to find the customer lifetime value, or does it just we leave out customer acquisition cost and you'd get your 10,400 number I think you got? Is that right?
My understanding is lifetime value you don't deduct the acquisition cost from your lifetime value.
Okay.
Lifetime value is gross margin percent times or divided by churn rate. Well, it's monthly your total revenue per a given period times your gross margin divided by your monthly churn, and that's going to give you. So basically, you only need three things to figure your lifetime value.
Okay.
Your cost of acquisition is a separate figure.
Okay. I just want to make sure I understood that right.
Now, the interesting thing is according to this other article that I'm reading, it says the value of a customer should be 3 times more than the cost of acquiring them. If the ratio is close to 1.1, you're spending too much. If it's 5.1, you're spending too little. In fact, you're probably missing out on business. So they're getting close to that 5.1, and so they're probably not spending enough on customer acquisition.
Okay. Hey, Alex.
They up their marketing.
What's that?
So what does that mean? They up their marketing then, or update, or up their?
Well, the thing is I think. I mean, the number, from my point of view, if I have that number too high, or sorry, if it's like 5 to 1, what it's really telling me is I've got really loyal customers and I can spend more to acquire new ones. And so I should be out there acquiring more customers faster because they're being very profitable. Each customer is being very profitable. Does that make sense? If each customer wasn't profitable, then that number would be way back there by 1 to 1. But because they're so profitable, that means there's, the more customers I generate, the more money that I can, I have available. So,
well, I'm kind of looking at it like a supply and demand type deal, right? I mean, my cousins, for example, have some storage units. I mean, if they're at like 90% occupancy, they raise their prices.
That's that article. I just sent you guys a link to the article that I was reading.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right?
Yeah, but see, at that point, if they're getting they would raise their prices because, and yes, but I don't know if that ties into here because
it's almost
their cost of marketing at that point is going to go down because they can't even fill what they have. Or sorry, they're overfull.
Correct.
Which would cause that number, that customer value would go way up. Which is not a bad thing. It just means that if you have additional capacity, you need to spend more on marketing. I think that's what it really boils down to.
Yeah,
if you have excess capacity, and so like in the storage unit deal, if they had a high ratio, but they had additional spaces available, they need to spend more on advertising. One, to bring that ratio down, but to also bring their utilization of assets up higher to fill that capacity.
Correct. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know that it's an end all be all ratio, but
yeah,
like I was playing with those numbers for my my online store, and my annual churn rate is probably around 96 to 98%. And you start doing numbers that high on your churn rate, and your lifetime value of your customer sucks. Like if I generate $15 in revenue on the customer on the first sale, the lifetime value of that customer ends up being like $16.60.
Yeah.
And to have a 3-to-1, I need to spend less than $5 to get that customer. So the biggest thing that's been a kind of a revelation to me is, can you imagine spending $2,300 to get one customer?
No, it seems crazy.
Yeah, that's the thing that's totally mind-boggling to me. But obviously, the lifetime value of the customer's there because they're staying for a long enough period that they're generating enough revenue to make it worthwhile. But man, $2,300 in just advertising, I mean, that's not even like producing the product. That's just sales costs. So and again, this is another one of those cases where he's getting millions of dollars on a business that's still not profitable. And to me, that's the in my mind, before I started business school, business classes and whatnot, it was nobody's going to give you any money unless you're already profitable. Like nobody, they're not going to be sitting there throwing money at you, particularly if they've done it once and you're still losing money. They're not going to throw more money at you. But as we've seen from these classes, these cases, it happens all the time.
Yep.
They're still working on getting to profitability, and they keep getting money handed to them. And the cost of acquisition of a customer, shoot, man. Like my online business, man. If I spend $2 to get a customer, I'm like, wow, that was a lot of money. But where my problem lies is actually in that churn rate. I do nothing. I in the 3 years that I've been in business, for my online customers, I have done almost zero customer retention efforts. And because of that, my churn rate is like 96% or higher. I don't even know what it is, but it's really high. And that just kills. You can't spend any money on advertising if you have no lifetime value. So if I can improve that number, and you go back to his funnel, I think that was very enlightening.
Asking the right questions.
Well, no. This funnel, he says, if of 100 qualified leads contacted via email or phone, someone at 45 of the brokerage firms took a call, resulting in 22 decision makers agreeing to speak with us, of whom 9 agreed to view a web demo and 2 subscribed to RentJuice.
Mm-hmm.
So for every 100 people that they contacted, they got 2 people to actually join their call.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, so what is my customer, funnel? What's it like? And you start thinking about that. How many people have to come to my website before someone buys or put something in the cart? And of those people that put something in the cart, how many people actually check out? And how many of those that check out actually come back for a second attempt or whatever? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's what I needed to be focusing on, was my customer retention side of things and the customer acquisition side of things. mean, I did a really good job of making sure my website functioned really well, so that, you know, perchance somebody came to my website, you know, they had a good experience buying the product. But, you know, the churn rate online is historically very high. So, you know, if I could bring that from 96 down to, say, 75 churn rate, that right there would change the whole dynamics of my business.
It's an interesting concept. Hey, I got Alex, can you send me that link? I gotta bounce, guys. Unfortunately, we got my wife down my throat. So I will talk to you guys later. Good night. Good luck,
Yep,
and happy Thanksgiving to you guys.
Hold on just a second. I'll post it here.
Please send me that link. Sorry, guys. I apologize. Awesome.
You're good.
Thank you.
You got that?
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Yep, see you, Colin.
Okay.
We'll see you guys.
Have a good weekend.
You
Happy
too.
Thanksgiving. Sorry if I ramble.
No, you're good. So the CLV for those numbers, you got $8,100, something like that.
Well, that's if you minus out the
new customer acquisition.
Yeah, and I don't think you're supposed to. I haven't seen anything where you're supposed to delete that out. Let's see if how they have that terms and whatnot at the top. Because, like I said, the website that I was looking at, it doesn't have that. Does this one have terms? Oh, that's my other class.
What was
like the way you cost to acquire a customer, or sorry, the way it's calculated? At least let's see if I can. Lifetime value.
Yeah, I mean, either way, they're obviously have have excess customer value over the acquisition cost.
Yeah, so this confirms it. It does not take out the cost of acquisition. That's per Wikipedia.
Okay.
By definition, customer lifetime value is the present value of the future cash flows, not of future cash flows attributed to the customer during his or her entire relationship with the company. So it's cash flow. It's revenue generated by that company, that person, not necessarily the revenue minus the other one.
Okay.
So the number that I had was 10,421.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I'm probably gonna leave that new customer acquisition in my spreadsheet, but I'll put a note in there on the. So
Yeah.
So it says, how well is the sales funnel at RentJuice working? What can you think of to improve it? How can you reduce your customer acquisition cost?
Well, I think it's working pretty well, as is an indication, as indicated by the that ratio that I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at 4.5, I mean, they're getting a pretty significant return on value for the money that they're spending. I honestly think that they could spend more, and they could grow their customer base faster. But as far as improving it, I think the biggest thing that they could do right now, they're paying and working hard for basically every customer. There's really no viral element that's going on right now. And I think that the real-time program that they're working to introduce, one of the things that it's designed to do is start increasing that viral element.
Correct, yep.
And that will reduce their customer acquisition cost, because if I pay $2,300 to get 8 customers and I get 2 or even one via a viral acquisition method, I've now got 9 or 10 customers for the price of 8. And that could really start cutting those costs down, particularly if you had, you pay for 5 and you get 5 via the viral method.
Yeah.
You just cut it down from $2,300 per customer down to $1,100 per customer, and your lifetime value hasn't, the value per customer hasn't changed. So your ratio now is really good or really high, which means that, maybe you could do more marketing, or maybe you just say, hey, that's good enough.
Yeah, I'm sure there's peaks and valleys in their customer acquisition as well. I mean, they're a brand new company just starting out. Obviously, it's going to cost them more. But I think when they start branching out into new cities, I think there's going to be an initial spike in their cost per customer. But I think it'll probably level off. I mean, it seems like the real estate industry is such a small, it's like a tight-knit community type deal that I think probably the word of mouth is probably going to be their best seller for them.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah. All right. So the last question said, how should Vivero respond to the new competition? I think he should wipe them out. I mean, that's what I was saying. I mean, he's already got like a plan in place. I know that they had that spill at the last little bit of that that case study where the CFO said he didn't want to, but
I mean, here's the. I mean, I didn't even think about this until you just mentioned it. But if he was to get the 5, he's working on his own product, right?
Yep.
But he could take part of that $5 million and buy the other company out. You know what I mean?
I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
I mean, prior to that thought, but at that point, he could take their customers and any good features that they have that they don't already have incorporated and basically incorporate them. But plus they've already got, people that are on board that are working towards that. They've got customer lists. I mean, that's one way to expand, and 5 million would probably do it, depending on how much revenue the other company has and so on. That's an option. Yeah. What I was thinking is that, they don't want to let the other person create a monopoly. So they definitely want to get their real-time product going. But I think they have a huge leg up on their new competition in the sense that their software integration for the broker side will allow them substantial features and integration that the other company is just not going to have. So even if they are a little bit later to market than the other company, it's going to be an apples and oranges comparison. And I think that they'll end up beating the other customer out because they have that integration piece and a working model to start with. I don't know. That's just kind of the thought that I had is, and you got someone coming in and doing something, but do they have the other element? And really the cool thing is how they work together.
Yeah. Yeah, they complement each other there.
And that's something that they bring that the other company likely isn't going to
bring. Yeah. Well, did you do any Googling about RentJuice?
No, I didn't.
I just did. So they sold to Zillow for $40 million in 2012. So it was a 4-year-old company. And they sold for $40 million. Had 6 million renters. 6 million renters visit the site every day. Holy cow.
Yeah, but the thing is like I mean, the idea behind this was actually really cool to me. I mean, I've got 14 rental units in Florida, and the integration between property information and rentals and the application and whatnot sound really cool to me. But I also utilize Zillow, and I don't see any I don't really see that integration. So it's like the company had a great idea, it grew, and then it got acquired, and it kind of went away.
Yeah, they were probably just mad they were taking up some of the market share and just said, here, we're going to buy you. And you're not going to compete against us anymore.
Yeah. I mean, who knows what what they're utilizing there of their software, but I haven't seen it. So
do you like Zillow?
I've used it for several different things. In some areas, I think the property values are fairly reasonable. There are some things that Zillow doesn't process very well. For example, I've got a piece of property that has six units on it, 2 triplexes on the same piece of property, and Zillow says it's worth like $500,000, but it ain't. It's worth like 150. But like some of the other places, put it on them. I mean, it's a little high, I think, sometimes, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's really low. Like the house I live in right now, it's definitely worth 250 to 270, if not 300,000. Zillow has it at 160. So, I mean, and we're renting it at this point, but like the point is eventually we want to buy it. So, like I said, it's the idea behind it is pretty good. I spend a lot of time researching properties using Zillow because I find it's universal across the country, and like MLS is really fragmented. So like, there's Snake River MLS, and then there's Boise area MLS. Like I can't just get on to one website and search the MLS for the entire country, depending on where I want to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Zillow allows that functionality. The other thing is your MLS only includes people that are selling their property through real estate agents, whereas Zillow, I mean, I can go on to Zillow and post my property for sale, and I've done that before, and it generates anywhere from like 75 to 100 views a day. And I haven't had any sales from it, but I haven't tried real hard to sell properties either. So again, it's a service that I think is very useful, and a lot of people know about it. So, but as far as the values, a lot of real estate agents don't like Zillow. They feel like Zillow provides too much information to the customer, and so they don't get the opportunity to truly sell the customer. And so like their bread and butter is you talk to me, you give me, they call me as a real estate agent. I do the research and I come up with properties, then I take you around and show those properties. Okay. But now I've developed a relationship with you, and so if you're going to proceed forward on something, as long as I'm not presenting myself as a retard, you're going to utilize me because we've developed this relationship, and we're going to go towards buying something. Whereas what Zillow's created, and what a lot of real estate agents don't like, is the fact that I can go on Zillow and I can research all the properties myself. I can find the ones that I want to see, and typically, instead of calling one real estate agent, I just call the real estate agent for that property. And I go see that property, and then they're like, hey, well, I got these other ones that I can show you. I'm like, no, I'm going to do my own research.
Yeah.
I've already looked at this other house that I want. I've already got an appointment set up to go see that real estate agent. And so the real estate agents don't like Zillow. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. You've got a love-hate relationship with, well, mostly a hate relationship with real estate agents. But,
yeah. You know, I mean, I've got my real estate license in Florida, but I've never actually sold anybody's property. But the thing that I have a problem with is, so a real estate agent assists me in the process of selling my property. And for that, if they're if they're representing both the buyer and the seller, they get roughly 6%. Yep. So if I got a $200,000 house, the real estate agent for his services is going to be provided with, $12,000. Now, some of that goes to the broker, this, that, whatever. Okay. But, I've sold property without a real estate agent, just person to person. And you know what? We took a generic sales contract. We wrote down what we wanted on it. I took it to the title company, and the title company handled everything.
Yeah.
The real estate agent does nothing, really.
They're a facilitator.
But they're a facilitator in an industry that oftentimes is going to facilitate itself if left to its own devices. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's like, how many people are going to buy a piece of property that they wouldn't have otherwise bought because the real estate agent?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It's like the difference is like a car salesman. I mean, how many people buy a new car because it was a great salesman? Probably more than you think. People go in, they're looking at it, and they just get like, the salesman does a really good job of getting them like amped up and like, hey, this is a great car, great deal, yada, 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 whatever. And they walk away with a new car that they might not have otherwise if they hadn't had that salesperson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't see a lot of people walk into a house being like, oh, you know what? I'm not really looking to buy a house today. I'm just kind of like shopping. And then the real estate agent like just talk them into it. Like you're not going to talk me into a $100,000 to $200,000 house that I wasn't otherwise going to buy just because you're a great salesperson. Anyway.
Yep. No, when I sold my home in Idaho, it was on the market for literally 6 hours. All he did was take pictures and put his sign out front, and he didn't even need to put the sign out front. I had to pay him 3%.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So the post discussion poll, it has a CLV. It says, what was your CLV of a RentJuice customer? It's got 8,000 and it's got 10,300. Neither of those are 10,400 that we had or 8,100 that we had. I'm just going to go with the 10,300.
Well, 440 times 12. Let's see if they converted it to the 30 annual churn rate they divided it. Let's see, 440. So 380 divided by 12 is 3166. So 440 divided by 3.166 times 0.75.
What did that give you?
Well, I don't know if I did it right. Divided by 0.3. Okay, 0.3166. Okay, there we go. I mean, even splitting it up, I get 10,423.
You got what? I'm sorry.
10,423.
Okay. Yeah. have is 10,300, or there's 8,000, which if they subtracted the new customer acquisition, it's $100.
Yeah. And I don't think that's, what was the other one?
10,300.
That's pretty dang close. Because I mean, 440 times 12 times 0.75 divided by 0.38, 10,421. I mean, that's within $121.
Yep.
I mean, that's what I'm going to put.
He gave me it. I just submitted it. It liked it. I don't know if it would have done it on everyone, but
Well, that was what my answer would be.
yeah, that's what I had to. So, all right. Well,